the album that is coming
Right.
out. Now I am recording.
Okay.
Does it? Here's a dumb, simple question. Does it have a name?
I think I'm a little annoyed with myself because I came up, I had a name and then like I came up with another name that I thought I might like even better, and then I forgot what that name was, which is ridiculous because I mean usually I'm really good about writing those things down.
Yeah.
But, I think that it's going to be called "Deliver Humankind."
Okay.
Which is actually a line from one of the songs or part of a line from one of the songs. And so yeah, I feel like that sort of sticks with the kind of the theme of the album, which I feel like is, still, there's still some real exploration of some nerdy territory on it, but the outlook isn't so rosy in a lot of ways. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah. Do you have an inkling of what the other one was, or like some kind of phrase?
Yeah, I feel like it was something. I don't know. It was something that felt. It was. I think that's part of why I don't remember it, is because I don't have enough of a feeling. It's or enough of a sort of a leftover sort of resonating signature of what the title was in my head. Like if there was more of that there, like that could potentially lead me back to what it was, but there's just not even enough of that there. It's like there's not enough of a trace of it, and I'm like, I don't know what it was.
That's fine.
But that's all right.
Yeah. No, Deliver to Humankind does sound very albumy.
Right. I still really like that title a lot.
Yeah.
Just,
and then maybe like someday you could do a re-release of it with somehow the other title that you remember eventually.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. We'll see.
It's hard to, we were talking about this last week. Like, the album is a bit more dark. Then it's hard to nowadays, at least from where we're coming from, to write a positive thing.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like whenever it wasn't Gorilla's most recent album, but the one before that.
Okay.
I was really disappointed because they hadn't released an album in a while.
Right.
And then they put this one out, which is basically like party at the end of the world.
Right.
And it's like, you could have done so much more to say something about this.
Right. Yeah.
And then they did with the next one.
Yeah.
But first it was like, hey, everything's kind of sad, so let's just do some fun stuff. And it's like, we need to do something right now.
Right.
I understand the party feeling, but not everyone gets to party right now.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I can. I don't know. I certainly can't claim that I'm, offering a lot of solutions to things on this record. I don't think. I think that. I mean, there's one song that's sort of about the incel toxic fandom thing. Sure. And I mean, that definitely is a song that's sort of like a cautionary tale and sort of like don't be like this guy kind of thing. And then, I mean, and then there's, another song that proposes that the solution for all our problems is for the fictional band Wild Stallions to actually exist and save the world with their music like they do in the Bill and Ted movies, or allegedly they're supposed to. Yeah. But yeah, from there, I think there's sort of some sitting with it and sort of a little bit of sort of a little bit of a plea to the universe, kind of to all right, what now? What
Yeah.
what do we do? What do I do? What, you know, like, etc. But
even like some of the like most influential music and some of my favorite music whenever I'm having a hard time is that music that isn't necessarily proposing a solution, but it's just like helping me wallow in it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, like, or you could even get as big as like Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On."
Sure,
like,
no, absolutely.
He is saying what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
He's not necessarily being like, so let's, you know, clean up the thing and like,
yeah.
But, you know, part of there's a Moses Sumney song that called Coral, and it says, with you, half the battle is convincing you we're at war. And yeah, maybe sometimes we need to like reestablish that, like, maybe we think we're at this point, or we're actually at this point.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's possible. And I mean, it's funny. I mean, I talk about, like, I don't think the album is necessarily all doom and gloom. Like, I think there's one song that I think comes off as sort of like I mean, I say it's definitely, I guess it feels more like a positive song, just about getting together and like sharing our love of things that we love or whatever. But I think, so but it's interesting. It's just like, that was just the group of songs I ended up with, like, you know, and
so this is different for everyone, but like, how many songs are written versus go into the thing? Because I feel like I've heard that some people have like hundreds of songs and like narrow it down to like 12. I've also heard that like people are like, we're trying to get enough songs just to have on the album. And they put that out.
Yeah, that was kind of, well, I should say, like, this group of songs they're not the only songs that I've written in the last couple years, but this group of songs that's on this record, like, these were the songs that like that go together, like, in terms of like the way I saw this record sounding. Like, this, you know, I have plans for like a couple other album projects in the near future, but like, this is the album that's sort of like, oh, Dr. Pants is back and he sounds pretty much like he used to, you know, like, and because I felt like there were people who, at least some people who want that record. Like, they want like a new Dr. Pants record that is, you know, feels like what they know to be a Dr. Pants record. And, you know, and there were some songs that already, you know, were starting to feel like that anyway. And so it was like, you know, there were a couple things. There were actually a couple things on it that were things that I started, I don't know, any number of years ago, like the ideas that I had sitting around that I was able to take back out and flesh out, that I always felt like had like a really great potential to be like a really good Dr. Pants song. But I just never had gotten to the point where I did anything with them. And so it ended up that we ended up with and it was, and, you know, in this day and age, like, you know, like, it's just thinking about streaming platforms, like what it has to be. I can't remember which is which. I think maybe it has to be 7 songs to be considered an album on Spotify and not an EP or single. And I think it maybe has to be 30 minutes to be an album on Apple Music and not a single or EP.
Weird.
On Apple Music, it's not as big a deal because like they show all of the albums like horizontally across the screen. Whereas like on Spotify, if it's not an album, like if it's a single EP, it gets buried at the bottom of your release thing. And like, and so, you know, the two things at the top of the Dr. Pants Spotify page are the albums we put out in 2006 and 2000, because everything we did since then, the way they got released digitally was like an EP format. And so, so it's like I felt the need to like, no, I need to put something out that's going to be at the top of the Spotify page. Like, and so it's just about 30 minutes, or it's a little over 30 minutes, and it's 7 tracks. It's like 5 sort of longer, more substantial songs, and then 2 sort of shorter, sort of little vignette songs. And yeah, I think it'll be good. We are running a little bit further behind probably in terms of the schedule of getting it out than I would like. I don't know that it's going to be, at this point, it would kind of be miraculous if it came out in March, because the finishing tracking has not happened as fast as we thought it would. Like, there's probably maybe 4 or 5 hours of tracking left, if that. But like, it's amazing how challenging it is to find the time to do that when you've got people with disparate schedules and things like this. So, and I mean, I had these grand designs of the initial like 3-day block of tracking sessions that I had set up. Like, I had this illusion in my mind that like, oh, we'll get all the tracking done in that 3 days. We will, but that's not the way things go, because, sometimes technology doesn't cooperate.
Yeah, or some cool idea happens in the middle of it.
Right.
And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, we need to pursue this.
Right. I kind of wish that was why we didn't get it done. But no, we kind of had our songs and we were sticking to them. And it was just, it just ended up, everything just takes longer than you think it's going to. But
yeah, well, there's I listen to a lot of video game podcasts, and there's a quote that they always quote, Shigeru Miyamoto, creator of Mario.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, a delayed game is like upsetting for only a little bit, and then it comes out. But a rushed game is bad forever. And so
It's true.
It's okay if it like takes a little longer than anticipated, because it's an album,
right?
And it like it's gonna gonna sit there at the top of your Spotify for a while. So like might as well polish it up a little bit more.
For sure.
It is funny that the silly little things are kind of reshaping how we're creating. Yeah. That even just the format of an app or a website or whatever is like, hey, this is the thing that when it comes down to it is actually what's driving listens or whatever.
I mean, I do like the fact that no one's probably going to come to me and complain that like, oh, iTunes is charging $10 for this, but it's only 30 minutes long. Like, that's probably less likely to happen now. Then it feels like it's like, just there's not a lot of constraint. There's less constraint on, what constitutes an album or whatever. Like, I mean, I remember, I remember in the 90s, because that's how old I am. Like, I remember people would, it was the age of the CD where like people I would hear people complain, like, it's like, I don't know, that album, I bought it, I kind of feel like it wasn't worth the money because it was only like 40 minutes long. Like, and it's like, well, that's
a lot of music.
That's how long albums were for decades. Like, and, or there was this,
that's a whole set list.
Right. There was this person, this girl, this person I worked with in record stores at the time. She complained about the Cure album Blood Flowers, that it only had 10 songs on it. I'm like, well, first of all, like 3 of those songs are like 10 minutes long, and it was like an hour-long album. And she's like, I don't know, I just feel like it wasn't worth the money. I'm like, come on, it's amazing just the way that these things shift over time, But I do like the fact that it's like, no one's going to complain to me that like, that it's not worth it, because it'll be, wherever, if somebody's paying to download it, it'll be priced accordingly to its length. And, and then if they're streaming it, and it's not,
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, maybe once it's over, they wish there was more.
Yeah. Well, the problem is different because before it was just like, look, I'm not going to have much other music as it is.
Right.
I only have CDs
Right.
and what's playing on the radio, and I don't want to listen to that.
Right.
So it's like the 5 CDs I have in my car are just the things I'm going to listen to nonstop for the next year.
Right. Yeah.
And then now it's just like I have more music at my disposal than I have ancestors.
Yes.
So, and their lifetimes.
Yeah.
So,
and me being of the age I am, I still cannot, like, as a listener, I can still not fully commit to that reality. Like because I have, because I still have a fairly large physical music collection and I have an even probably slightly larger digital music collection, like in iTunes, like it's actual MP3 files or whatever. Like,
yeah, me too.
I can't, I just sort of can't commit to the reality that like, oh, I can just ignore all of that and listen to everything in this app. Like it just feels, maybe one day I will, but I kind of doubt it. Like I mean, I've even considered like, okay, I could reassemble my entire collection in Spotify, because you can add things to your whatever. But even then I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know. Like,
but I mean, I don't know. I think probably people appreciate shorter albums now just because they're like, I have other things to listen to.
Right.
So like, give me 30 minutes. Great.
Yeah. Well, and there's, I mean, I have like students and other people all the time like, hey, have you heard this? Have you heard this? And I'm like, no. And they'd be like, oh. I'm like, dude, too much music too little time.
Yeah,
like, I mean, I've been having that problem since, before the digital age and like, and every year, like, every year it gets weirder. Like in my songwriting classes, I'll go around at the beginning of the year and, everybody tell us, a song that you're really into right now. And like every year there are fewer and fewer things like that people mention around the circle that I've heard of even like, and like there are things that I listen to that are current, but it's just there's just so much that is current, and even then people who are half my age are better at keeping up with all that, I guess. But like even though there is a good bit of stuff that I listen to that's current, it's just there's still so much more that like goes totally beyond my radar.
The sphere is larger though because. Or I guess wider. Yeah. Like there's like the giants, obviously.
Sure.
And it's like if Taylor Swift puts out an album,
like
you're going to hear it in some way or another,
or at least hear that know that it happened. Yeah.
But like I don't know. There's lots of really cool stuff happening all the time. Yeah. And even some of your favorite bands from like 5-10 years ago are like still putting out stuff. Yeah. And you're like, whoa, okay, yeah. Yeah. Like I'm like 2-3 albums behind on this band.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. I mean, you mentioned Gorillaz. Like I have copies of their 2 or 3 most recent ones. Like I can't remember how many albums it's been since Plastic Beach, but Plastic Beach was like the last one that I really have had a chance to spend any time with. And they've put out at least 2, maybe 3 since then. And it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Yeah. I'll get to it eventually. Like I have, it's as a listener, I've kind of been, experimenting with like, okay, I'm going to take a dozen to 15 albums and I'm going to put them on my phone and like, I'll listen to those dozen to 15 albums for at least a month. Yeah. And to where like, I actually feel like I've gotten to know the music a little bit. And then, provided that I won't feel like I'm all the way there with all of them, but like I'll swap some out and this kind of thing. And that's been I think that's gone pretty well. Like I feel like I've gotten to know some records better rather than just like constantly jumping around between record after record after record that like I listen to once and then I don't go back to it for God knows how long.
Yeah.
Like, and that's because that, you know, that was starting to happen. It's like, oh, I did listen to, you know, such and such as, you know, album that came out last year, but I only listened to it once.
Yeah.
And then, and so even that, you know, even that's a symptom of the current age too, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, people don't get to know albums anymore.
No,
like,
sure.
It's,
yeah.
Like, what's the hit? Is it on a playlist?
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a curmudgeon anyways, so it's like I only listen to, like, yeah, I have Spotify, but like I only listen to albums.
Yeah.
And like the whole thing. And if I like have to stop, I have to go back and pick up where I left off.
Yep.
Because if not, I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the artist.
Right.
Who spent all this time structuring the songs to sound together and go together in this order and all this stuff. But if I'm just like, I'm just going to look at the corner of this Monet painting. Like,
yeah.
Like, yeah, sure. I'm sure the Monet spent some time on that corner, but like, you know, there's a whole painting here.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's interesting. The playlist thing is interesting because I was enough of like a mixtape junkie back in the day, like,
sure, yeah.
you know, actual physical cassettes that, you know, people spent time, you know, sequencing songs on and things like this.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm glad that like some echo of that does survive.
Oh yeah.
Like, but at the same time, you know, it's just really, it's really easy to get lazy. Like the little bit I do use Spotify, it's really easy to get lazy and just put on the, you know, the daily mixes that it makes for you, like, and things like that. And it's like, I suddenly realized, like, I listened to that song like every morning this week because it was on one of the stupid daily mixes. And it's like, you know, think about all the other songs that I could have listened to instead. And, you know, it's, so I think I still like the idea of the playlist as like, you know, something that you can share with someone else to like, you know,
and you can do that on Spotify.
Yeah. Which is great. But at the same time, I also like so many people don't actually have things that play CDs anymore. Like it's like I'll still make a physical CD for somebody if they have something to play it on, but some people just don't. And Jared Lekites and I, like we've actually made cassettes for each other. Like within like the last however many years. Like he was like, here's an actual mixtape. I was like, well, I haven't gotten one on cassette in you know, a decade or 2 decades or something like that.
Would you have to dust off to listen to it?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I actually ended up getting a used cassette deck at somewhere, I think maybe at Bad Granny's. Like, I don't know. It was probably close to, no, it wasn't as many as 10 years ago. No, it was probably like 6 or 7 years ago now, but like,
a child ago or something.
Yeah, but I got it partially because, like, you know, now there's all the boutique cassette labels that, you know, on Bandcamp, and especially for like, and I don't know, maybe not as much for you, but for me as sort of like the type of composer I am, like I like searching out, you know, weird composery things. And I really love like some of these boutique cassette labels that like they're at this weird intersection of like sort of the idea of, you know, quote unquote art music and the idea of pop music, because they are putting out all this, you know, fairly esoteric electronic music or whatever else. But they're doing it, you know, on this like weirdly sort of outdated format and with these like hyper stylized album covers, you know, and things like this. And it's really, I don't know, it scratches some itch in me that just like, I don't know.
Right. Well, it's more than the music. Yeah. It's the experience that like you have to hunt it down. Like, I made the music, but you have to work for it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And so there's several labels that I just keep going back to, like anytime, if it's a month where like a few little cassettes from Bandcamp might be in the budget, like I'll go and find some stuff. But so anyway, so when I started to like accumulate some of that, it's like I need something to play these on, and
right.
And so I ended up doing that, buying the cassette deck, and that cassette deck that I got seems to work fine. Then there was another one. I got another one from Guest Room a few years later, and it doesn't work. Something's wrong with it, and I probably should have taken it back and said, guys, it doesn't work. But because they apparently, I guess they test most of the quote used equipment they sell, but I think some things slip through the cracks and don't really work properly. But
it's like if you plug it in, the light comes on. It's like, all right, yeah, sure.
Right, yeah. It's like, but did you put a tape in it and press the play button? No, apparently not. But
no, that does make me think of a question I was reminded of earlier. But like, what's the stuff that you have made that, I don't know, is there stuff that doesn't fit the Dr. Pants name and you're like, this has to be not Dr. Pants as a composer or whatever it might be?
Honestly, like, it's funny because I first decided that I wanted to use a name that wasn't my name, partially from a marketing standpoint. Like I just, for whatever reason, back in the day, like I just didn't really like my name very much. Like David is fine, but I felt like Broyles was somehow like cumbersome or weird, and I don't know why.
That's exactly what you need, though. You need a weird name for marketing purposes,
right? And so so I was like, okay, so even if it's just me, like I'm gonna have like a name for the project, a la Nine Inch Nails or whatever. And I think now, like, first of all, like I feel like maybe, especially relative to sort of how Dr. Pants started out, like regardless of the fact that like, I feel like there's some songwriting and some choices and things on this record that aren't, that I don't necessarily, that make me cringe a little bit now. But if you go back and listen to Fiesel Day, the first record I released under the Dr. Pants name in the year 2000, it's this big, it's like this big double album. It's this crazy eclectic mess that has, electric rock songs, like acoustic songs. I mean, ostensibly acoustic rock songs, whatever that means. But like, it has a few strange electronic things on it. It has a couple of live recordings from my senior concert in undergrad where like we had like acoustic guitar and Doombeck Middle Eastern drum, and like one has piano on it and there's another one that has violin on it, and like it's just sort of this bizarre mix. And part of the reason, and I definitely did that on purpose. It wasn't like I just didn't know any better, and it was like, no, I'm gonna intentionally mix all this together, and it can be the thing. And the genre is no genre. Really where the challenge to making that work came in initially was like, okay, I'm going to put together a band. But then when I put together a band, we're only really going to be able to reproduce sort of the electric rock song stuff on stage. And so it was like from there, after I put together the band, somehow like I just sort of decided, well, and I will say, like, the next album, Gardening and Tornado, which didn't even come out until 2006. Like I remember sitting with someone at one point and, he was like, so, like, how many albums do you have out? I was like, well, I have two. I have the one that came out in 2000. I have this one that came out last year or whatever. This was probably 2007 or something like that. And he's like, only 2 albums in 6 years. I'm like, okay, but there were some years in there where I was sort of wandering in the wilderness a little bit, like unsure of what I was doing. Like, because I made the Feasel Day album, we got a band together, and then about a year or a little more after I got the band together, the band kind of fell apart, and like everybody who had been in the band had left the band. And so like it was, and so there were a couple of years in there where I was like, I wasn't sure what to do next. And I, the whole time, ostensibly, I was writing songs. Like that was a situation when I ended up making that record in 2000, starting it in 2004, and then took until 2006 to finish it. Like I had a ton of songs that I had written in those 4 years or whatever. And, ended up putting, 13 songs on the record. And granted, going back, it's like there were actually a number of those songs that probably didn't need to be on a record, and that's fine. But okay, hang on. I got to make sure I redirect myself here and get back to what I was actually saying. But it ended up being a very, very straightforward song-oriented record because partially that was the material I had, partially that was the like strong material that I had. And I think at that time I was also very influenced, like right when Feasel Day came out was when I met Casey, who's my wife. And because she is so, and always has been so like, such a pure sort of like singer songwriter person. Like she's not interested in being anything but like, I'm a songwriter who performs their own songs, and she's not interested in really moving into any other area of composing. And like I think I was just like heavily influenced by her presence and by the way that she pursued her art. And so like I skewed that way really hard for a little while, but then I was able to sort of branch out a little bit after that. But like up through like 2013, like Dr. Pants as a project, like was just very, very purely like, these are songs that are recorded and performed with a rock band. And even though some of them got a little bit more interesting and adventurous sort of in form and things like that, like it was still like, this is a rock band project. And I don't know, it's not that I necessarily regret that. Like there's not a lot necessarily that I regret about, the music that I've chosen to release under the name Dr. Pants. It's more that like, part of me kind of is back in the place where it's like, well, but it didn't start out that way. And I still sort of feel like, the idea of Dr. Pants or of my musical output is broader than maybe I've allowed it to be at certain points. And so I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see. There's definitely a more acoustically flavored songwritery project in me that I'm probably going to do later this year, but that's probably still going to be under Dr. Pants. There's an electronic record that I think I think I'm tempted to not put it out as Dr. Pants, but just solely because like I want to pitch it to some of the boutique cassette labels I was talking about. And they tend to, it's like, we put out music by these composers who are, they go by their names as individuals. And so it's like, I feel like it's more on brand for some of those, for the place I want to try and put it, for it to just be David Broyles or whatever. Maybe David C. Broyles, my middle initial, because that will make sure that people, there's David Broyles another David Broyles in Oklahoma City who's a musician.
Oh, wow.
And he's like a country rock kind of guitar player, and we actually back in I think the early aughts, we did a couple gigs together as David Broyles and David Broyles, but where we just got up with acoustic guitars and traded songs. But yeah, I remember we heard about each other for years.
Yeah.
And then ended up finally meeting. It's like I'd go to, anyway.
Yeah.
But
real quick, there's Santiago Ramones sounds like a unique name, but in Latin America, it's actually pretty common.
Right.
And so like the reason why my email is Santiago Ramones music is because Santiago Ramones at gmail.com was taken. And that's really annoying because like, I mean, at least I'm in the US and my name is really uncommon, but still with the vast expanse of the internet.
Yeah. Well, and
it's taken.
It's funny how like, I mean, I grew up like, I think I went my entire childhood. I didn't meet somebody with my last name who I wasn't related to until I was something like 26 or 27 years old. And then suddenly, like after that, they were everywhere. Like, and I was just, it was so strange. Like now, like Abby Broyles is running for Senate against Jim Inhofe. Like to my knowledge, we're not related, but like, but yeah, there's just people have sort of come out of the woodwork. It's like, suddenly there are all these Broyleses everywhere. It's like, I didn't know any of you growing up.
Broyles.
Yeah. Broyles. Right. Yeah. Broyles. That's the most common mispronunciation. You get the telemarketer calls. May I speak to David Broyles, please? And it's like, I already know that I don't want to talk to you. Because if I did, you would know how to say my last name. But anyway, all that to say that, some stuff, there may be some stuff coming that I don't put out under the name Dr. Pants. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, I think the key for me is to probably not think too hard about it, so I don't like put a lot of pressure on myself to like, but like, is this going to be Dr. Pants or isn't it? It's like, it just, if it feels like it's Dr. Pants to me at the time, then it will be.
Right. And it's hard enough that like, do kind of get stuck with that decision that you made a long time ago.
Right. And it's
in the same way that we're forced to like, hello, welcome out of high school, choose a major and do that the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, I still like the name Dr. Pants there, but like I like that it's something that at least most people seem to receive positively.
Yeah. It also encompasses the content pretty well too. It's like,
and
a stroke of seriousness with silliness.
Yeah. And
doctor,
right?
But
yes. Oh, how scholarly. Yeah. No, I think that there was like one. Well, it's funny. There was actually a music reviewer in the UK back when that Guarding a Tornado album came out in 2006. Like he led his review with like, Dr. Pants is one of the worst band names I've ever heard, but and then he went on to like say some pretty nice things about the record. But what I didn't realize at the time, or I didn't remember, was that in the UK when they say pants, they mean underpants.
Oh, okay.
And if they want to say pant, like our word, like our pants, they say trousers. And so like, it didn't occur to me that over there it's like, oh, it's Dr. Underwear over there. Like, so I can kind
popular children's book series,
right? Yeah, or Captain Underpants. Yeah.
So it's like he went out of the military, got a doctorate.
Yeah,
but Dr. Trousers doesn't sound as good.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So, but I'm I've not like I've ever tried to go tour over there or anything like that.
Sure.
So, but
no, I mean, I had made the decision to just keep using my name, kind of for in a weird way, the reasons why you took the name, is because I want to be able to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And so if I do have singer songwriter stuff over here and composer stuff over here, I don't want to like fragment the market in a way by putting it all in different places. Instead, let's just, this is me. And if you like what I make, I also make this thing, and I also make this thing, and
Sure.
it's all me.
Yeah. I mean, part of me has wondered, like, I wish there was a way, and maybe it doesn't matter, but like part of me wishes there was a way, like on a Bandcamp page, to like have a landing page where it's like, are you interested in,
Yeah.
electric, acoustic, weird shit, whatever, or all of it. And like, you click on the all of it and it gives you the discography with everything. And then, or you can go to the different categories. I think as I've thought more about doing this, more acoustic songwritery record, part of my goal there is to have something where like I could potentially like, move into that world as a performer more, possibly as a solo version of what I do with, or occasionally with, just Mac or whoever playing with me. Like, and, it's amazing. Like because I've spent a lot of time sort of in folk singer songwriter world because of KC and, in the sort of the fandom and the people who are big time patrons of a lot of that music, and like, and it's a bit of an older audience. Some of those people are like, well, I don't, I liked rock and roll, or I still like rock and roll, but I don't go sit and hear rock bands play live anymore because it's too loud and I can't handle the clubs and the noise and whatever. And like,
even just the smoke.
Right. Yeah. And, but it's amazing how cranky sometimes that they get about like, it's like if you start to try and talk about, hip hop or rap around some of those people, they're just like, well, it still just doesn't feel like music to me. And I'm like, come on, like, aren't you like musicologically savvy enough to understand that like, rhythm is still rhythm, no matter whether like you put, pitch to it or not, and but
they won a Pulitzer, so like.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that that's the only reason that I wonder, worry about that. It's like, okay, well, somebody's going to come to my, although ironically, like one of the things that I personally am most known for, like around the Kerrville Folk Festival and some of the other places that we've been, like, is for the song Donuts, which is, a rap song, like, but it's a rap song that when I do it there, I just do it, virtually unaccompanied with like, and maybe it doesn't, sound as much like,
quote unquote rap.
Yeah. Right. But anyway, but
No Funkies is also like
it's got an element of that.
Feel.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, so I sometimes, worry about like, well, somebody's going to hear me in that context and then go onto the internet to find more music. And then they're going to be like, what's all this rock and roll business? Or, or even
what
more
is
so
all this rap business?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so, but at the same time, like there's this part of me that's always going to be like, ugh, like I shouldn't have to think about all that so much,
Yeah.
And I think, and the older I get, the, some level, the less time I want to spend worrying about it.
Well, no, I think pretty much every musician is in agreement that like genre's bullshit.
Right.
But at the same time, we still have to operate within the parameters of the market. And so it's like, well, how do you separate like a clothing store from a food store?
Right.
And it's like, true. But we are selling products, but like,
right. When and
what if the clothes are food? I don't know.
Right.
Like,
when it feels less like, this music over here is clothing, this music over here is food. And to me, it feels more like this music over here is, the produce section, and this music over here is the, dairy section or whatever. Like it's still all the same thing. It just has different attributes and tastes different and whatever. Like I feel, and that but
and even that metaphor is hard because it's like there's actual like physical things that separate them that you can actually be like fruit's a fruit and it comes from a tree, and the
Right.
dairy is not coming from a tree.
No, it comes from an animal or whatever. Yeah.
Unless you have almond milk. But
Right. Yeah.
yeah, whereas genre is just like, we make sounds because of the past.
Right.
That's why our sound is this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's hard because, I mean, Igor won a Grammy for Best Hip Hop Album.
Oh, yeah,
Tyler,
yeah.
the Creator,
Yeah.
which wasn't a hip hop album.
Right. At least not. Yeah. Certainly not in the strictest sense at all. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's like, even the, you know, the names of like the Grammys,
Right.
the people who decide these things are even like, I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's true.
What even is this thing anymore?
Yeah.
And there's also like all the racial nonsense that goes on
absolutely.
with like why R&B is R&B and not just pop for black people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Well, and you know, the idea that like that term R&B, like that, you know, that originally stood for rhythm and blues, which was actually like once upon a time, decades ago, was an accurate descriptor of what was happening. It was typically music that, you know, used blues changes harmonically, but had a faster, more, you know, groove oriented pace to it than just blues, which was slower. And like, and then, you know, at some point somebody decided like R&B is just going to be the blanket term for all this music that is sung by African Americans.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, you know.
Well, I think they used to be more overtly racist and were just like, this is racial music.
That's
over here.
true too.
And
yeah.
then they were like, all right, let's pretend to be less racist and call it R&B.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Like, at least it still has the R in it, so we can call it racial music.
Right. Yeah.
But side note, I guess, but not really. Just going back to the album.
Yeah, whatever.
Your wife also recently put out an album.
Yes.
How does that affect has her music affected your music in that way?
Like in the way of like what she was working on was affecting what I was working on. Kinda like, well, actually going back to the title, at one point I was like, maybe I should just call it Dr. Pants, but then I realized, oh wait, Casey just put out a self-titled album, so I can't really do that. But you know, I don't know. I think there certainly have been times in the past where like kind of, you know, like when I was talking, you know, when I was writing the music that became the Gardening and Tornado album or whatever, like there were times in the past where I felt like more influenced by what she was doing. But I don't know that I feel super influenced by what she's doing now. And it's not that I wouldn't be okay with that if I was. Like I totally would. Like, I mean, her new record is gorgeous and you know, a bit of a departure for her because, you know, it's all sort of piano based instead of guitar based. And she co-wrote 8 of the songs with our friend Dan Walker, keyboard player. And but I mean, you know, but she feels really like it's a really true representation of where she's at as an artist and all that. And I think that's great. For whatever reason, you know, right now I'm very much on my own path. Like I think, so I certainly don't feel like, I don't think that this record feels like it was influenced much at all by what she's been doing. I think possibly it's arguable that some of the stuff that, you know, may end up on the acoustic record later in the year, like it's, you know, you could argue there's an influence there in terms of, you know, maybe indirectly of like, well, partially because of being married to Casey, I have spent so much time around all these other singer-songwriters who are sort of more in that vein. And, you know, that is sort of, you know, I've managed to soak a lot of that up. But I don't feel like we are directly influencing each other much. And in a way, like, once I say that, I'm kind of like, well, it would be kind of cool to be able to say that, kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a great example of like a artistic or musical couple that did that with
I mean, I
each
can
other.
think of a bad example, which is Rumors, but
No, sure. Yeah, no, I feel like there's, there are better ones than that, where it's like, almost like this friendly competition of like, so-and-so came, they wrote a song and it was great. So then like I went and tried and write a really great song and, this kind of thing and whatever. But, I think also I think because, and it's interesting. I think because like there are a lot of ways that what we do, feels so different, or if it feels our styles feel so disparate that it's kind of like, well, we're not,
it's not crossing over a whole lot.
Yeah, we would feel surprised probably if like the other one ended up, did something that ended up sounding a lot more like the other person or something like that. I guess I don't know.
She like comes to you one day and is like,
I
wrote
like,
this song about donuts.
Right?
And
Yeah.
like,
Here's my new song about some sort of
croissants.
Right. Or here's my new song about a computer virus that takes over the world, or something like that. It's like that is not in your wheelhouse, babe. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, and it's not that she of course will tell you that she writes mostly about feelings or whatever, and kindness and things like this, and it's not that I wouldn't write about those things, but it would come it comes out differently. It comes out through a different filter and sort of and so I don't, on the one hand, like there is a little bit like, well, and it's funny is now that I start to talk about that, like there is a little bit, I can tell some of the things she's doing right now that revolve around, kindness and compassion and stuff like that. Like, the idea that like, and I think it's exciting to see her doing it because she's making such a tangible, but it's not really tangible, but it feels almost like a palpable impact on people, like that. It does sort of make me want to like, it does make me want to use what I do as a vehicle for like promoting some of those ideas as much as I can, even though it's probably going to come out differently, and they're Lord knows it'll probably end up like, oh, here's this instrumental electronic piece that to me is totally about kindness and compassion, but nobody else can tell that it's about that. But, I mean, who knows? But
sure, yeah. And then I guess sort of by extension, then like you teach songwriting classes here as well, and you're absorbing a wider array of like other people's writing,
for sure. Like, and even, not only other people's writing, but then like the tastes of the students and things like that. And like, even just yesterday, like I'm co-teaching a band class with Mitch Bell this semester because two of my sections for this semester didn't make. And so I was like, oh, I'm down to 10 hours. That's not even remotely a full load. And so, I was already making up an hour or two by like doing some tutoring for some of the theory classes and stuff like that. But then Mitch was like, okay, well, why don't we do this? You can co-teach my band with me. Yeah. And, yesterday we decided we were going to go in and sort of ask the people in the band about, like for their second performance, we just did a performance of the first performance of the semester. So it's like time to go in and like, okay, we're going to build up a new set of material. And so, we started asking them like, okay, what songs are you really connecting with lately? Like emotionally, musically, whatever. And, so many, like, and, most of them just, again, kind of like in the songwriting classes, they just rattle off the stuff that like, I literally have never heard of, but like, but then we sat there and we started to like, listen to some of those songs in class, and like, and it's amazing. Some of the stuff, I mean, it was mostly all like high quality stuff, but then the funny part was, two of the songs that they mentioned that we went and listened to, like one had a background vocal part, like these harmony, like do background vocals. And like suddenly like, and it was actually one of the students in the class, we were sitting there listening to it, and she's like, that sounds like some like, there's like a 70s song that has like those exact same background vocals in it. And I was like, wait, you're right. And like, it took me a second, but I realized it was the song Brandy, You're a Fine Girl. And, and like, we went and turned it on, and like everybody, as soon as it hit that part, everybody in the class was like, whoa, like what? And then there was another song that we listened to that had this sort of like baseline, like octave drop with this beat under it that was felt exactly like West End Girls by Pet Shop Boys. And so then we put that song on, and like there was at least like one student in the class was like, wait, that sounds exactly like the other song. I'm like, yeah, that's why I told Mitch to put this on.
Yeah.
Like, and it just, you know, it's funny. I mean, in some ways there's nothing new under the sun, but at the same time, but yeah, it's still impossible to not be sort of like, I'm starting to, you know, and the great news is that I feel sort of, you know, in the groove enough that like, you know, I can see my way to like, oh, there's going to be a project, there's going to be a next project, and then there's probably going to be a project after that. Like, and there's part of me that like wants to sort of find my way to not really another Feasel Day, but like to a record where like I am throwing all kinds of stuff in the pot together. But I think there are going to be some new elements that go in there too that have never been necessarily as much a part of anything I do. And certainly I think some of the stuff that I absorb around here probably is going to contribute to that a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. This is kind of a weirder thought, but like on the thought of like, oh, this song was taking this thing from this thing.
Yeah.
I recently wrote something that I was like, this is kind of inspired by a Bjork song. And like the more that I worked on the song, I was like, okay, this is really inspired by a Bjork song. How close am I getting?
Right, sure.
Like, I'm in this blurry space between like, is this plagiarism or inspiration?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know when that's getting, you know, that's getting weirder every year because you're starting to get lawsuits for songs that like have the same sort of vibe and, you know, things like that, you know, sort of production styles like of the songs instead of
Perry one with the Dark Horse, and it was just like a descending minor scale,
right?
Like,
you know, and it's like, come on, you know, like they, you know, it's one thing to sue over, you know, a melody, but like, and you know, and some of the, you know that some of those are just like, it's not any sort of situation where I think the musician suing even thinks that it's likely that like that it was real. Like the one that still cracks me up all these years later is when Joe Satriani sued Coldplay over the song from you know, the Brian Eno produced Coldplay album, the one I can't remember which one it was,
no,
and
a couple of Coldplay albums ago,
right? Yeah, several ago, and because everybody knows that Coldplay aren't sitting around listening to Joe Satriani. I mean,
right.
Come on. Like that. I mean, you maybe like their guitar player is sort of a secret like shred fan, but like, I don't think Chris Martin's sitting around listening to that. Like, and it just, it still boggles my mind all these years later that Joe Satriani's like, I'm going to sue them when he knows damn well that they didn't consciously steal his melody or whatever. Like, and it's, you know, so, but anyway, all that to say, like, it's actually interesting. I just finished a song that it's a more acoustically flavored song, and it's probably it's probably the most deliberately like folky songwriter song that I've written in a long, long time. But like, I realized as I was starting it that it definitely had some melodic things and some feel things in common with a song that a friend of ours wrote. And I had to, I decided like, okay, I got to be careful. Like, and you know, and cause I know, but it's not like I haven't heard other songs by other songwriters that also sort of inhabit that same, those same arenas in terms of tempo and like, you know, harmonic movement and stuff like that. It's just a matter of like, just make it different enough so it's not like, you totally ripped off her song. You know, and
it's a funny thing because it's like you find yourself in that position. And it's like, all right, now I have to write my way.
Right, I have to write my way out of this problem.
Just to like not be plagiarizing now.
And you know, and there are still moments where it's like, you know, I remember one time we were in the car driving somewhere and I had a song on by Camper Van Beethoven which is they're one of my favorite sort of 80s alternative bands. And like there was a song and like Casey just turns to me at one point and she just starts singing one of my songs along with the Camper Van Beethoven song. And I was like, shit. Like, and ultimately I kind of decided like, okay, it's different enough that I'm probably okay. But when, you know, it's like my stuff, like, you know, usually doesn't reach a big enough audience for it to matter anyway. But like, but it's, you know, occasionally you just do those things, you know, by accident. And so, you know, it's like, well, and you know, sometimes you're not sure. It's like, well, that's like why like Paul McCartney didn't finish writing Yesterday for like a couple of years because he was just convinced that he must have stolen it from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's something that like you can't just trawl through every melody ever written and be like, no, I've gotten this somewhere. And
right.
It's like, it's familiar because you heard it somewhere else, or it's familiar because it came from your own head, and that's why it's familiar.
Somewhere it was, you know, there were things that connected to it or parts of it that were nestled down in your cerebral cortex somewhere for however long, and then suddenly just popped out and manifested into this thing or whatever.
If you're gonna plagiarize, pick an artist who probably won't sue you.
Right. Yeah. Don't pick Joe Satriani.
Right, exactly. It's like, well, you know, out of all people to plagiarize from, Bjork probably wouldn't sue me.
Right. Yeah, probably not.
She's probably cool about it.
She doesn't seem litigious.
Yeah. She did punch that journalist once.
She did, yeah. Well, she said she was never going to act in a film again because being in the Dancer in the Dark or whatever put her in this seriously deep depression or whatever.
What a magical being she is. Oh my gosh.
She's something else. She's one of those people like I've never done like the deep dive into her catalog, but like, you know, there's just like still, you know, the however many records I've heard, it's just like, oh yeah, you know, she's the real deal.
I did that recently, like 6 or so months ago.
Yeah.
And I just kept diving in and now I'm just like, man, what a shame that I like wasn't here like as it was coming out, because like I would have been really excited for this in the same way that I was excited for lots of other bands that I like. And it's like now it's like, yeah, she's getting older and kind of slowing down on what she's making, and it's like it's fine because you have a really good career behind you. So
totally.
But it's like, dang, I wish I could have been in on that.
Yeah. It was, I mean, I remember, because I think her debut solo album came out when I was in high school, and then Post came out when I was in college, and then Homogenic came out shortly after I got out of college. Yeah. And so, I've seen the whole thing, and the Sugar Cubes were still making records when I was in high school. Like their last record came out when I was in high school. But yeah, it's just always been a fascinating character.
And I'm doing that with Bowie now.
Oh, okay.
And like that's another one that, which interestingly enough, is probably an unpopular opinion, but like he just got better over time.
Yeah, I think for certainly for you know, I think most people would argue that like there was a dip in like that started in the mid to late 80s that took him a while to recover from. But once he got to, you know, the early to mid 90s and, you know, got like He's Outside and Earthling and stuff like that.
Electronic stuff.
Yeah, like at that point, like, you know, I don't think there's anyone who would argue that he wasn't, you know, sort of like back at a high level of quality.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, basically, I mean, his last 4 studio records, which there was a big gap between the first 2 and the last 2, but like from Heathen to like through Black Star, like I think all 4 of those records are just incredible. Then I remember after Reality came out and just, you know, like another year would pass and I'd be like, okay, I guess that was it. Like, and then finally, like the next day comes out, I'm like, oh wait, you know, here's another. And then I, you know, and the pleasant surprise of going and listening to that record and being like, kind of like he just picked up right where he left off. Like, you know, that it's amazing how much that record has in common with like those 2 records that were, you know, before it or whatever. Yeah. But there are still probably a handful of Bowie records that I've never heard all the way through, but like there are enough. But then, but pretty much all the other ones that I have heard all the way through, like I love and cherish and like amazing records.
And I mean, there's some garbage in there, but
right? Yeah,
especially if you go all the way back.
Right? Yeah,
that was.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever listened to the Space Oddity record all the way through.
Space Oddity is actually really good.
Yeah,
but like there's a thing before that.
Yeah, like with the laughing gnome and all that.
Yeah, that was just.
Yeah, Dr. Demento, the Dr. Demento show, he used to play the laughing gnome and on the air. That was how I heard it. And he's like, and at that point, like no one had even managed to like get a hold of those master tapes and like reissue that. Like it was totally unavailable at the time. Back when I heard it for the first time. But you know, I mean, after that, it just, you know, things just keep, you know, Hunky Dory's great, Man Who Sold the World's great, and of course Ziggy Stardust is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a big Berlin Trilogy guy. Like that was kind of like when I ended up sort of feeling like I was all in on Bowie. It was when I discovered those records like Low, Heroes, and Lodger. Well, like, and I remember like a friend of mine introduced me to those records my freshman year of college, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. I'm into it. Like, but I still wasn't really like super into it. Mm-hmm. But then like I like made copies like on cassette of his copies of those records just because I was like, you know, this is something I might want to go back and revisit. And and then those just kind of sat around like until I guess like 3 years later, like my senior year, for some reason, I'm like, you know, I never really spent any time with those Bowie records, and like I ended up putting on my little dubbed cassette of Low and like freaking all the way out and being like, this is like the record I've waited for my entire life. Like, and I don't think I'm the only person that has experienced that effect from that record. Like I feel like there are people who like they hear that record for the first time and they're like, what is this? Which is funny because it's not like that record, for whatever reason, like if you really just like, if you listen to the first few tracks on that album and you listen to what's going on, it's like, it's not really like, there's guitar, there's bass, there's drums, there's, you know, some kind of weird, you know, synthy sounding stuff, but like it's something about the way it's recorded and it's put all together. Like it just, I don't know, it just hits me just right, or, you know, and it certainly did.
Is there anything lately that hits you like that? And it doesn't have to be new, just new to you.
No, sure. Is there anything on my phone right now? Like I know that
I will say one of mine is, I mean, I've been talking about it for a while, but like Moses Sumney is just so good.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know his stuff at all. I will definitely have to go check that out. I think that the Brittany Howard record is really great. She's the Alabama Shakes lady. Like, and her solo record that came out last year, like, it's not, I don't love all of it, maybe all like across the board all the same, but like certainly like the first like 3 or 4 tracks, it's just like, it's just one of those records where it's just like the vibe just bowls me over, like, and it puts together like several different elements that I really like. I don't know if you're familiar with the band Trans Am. Are you familiar with them at all? They're on Thrill Jockey, the Chicago label that like Tortoise and a bunch of the other people were on. Like, I was really into them in like the late 90s and early aughts, and then like they put out one record that I was sort of vaguely disappointed in, and I kind of abandoned them, and then like ended up going back and like picking up like with the the next record that they put out after I sort of bailed on them. It's this album called Sex Change, actually, from 2007. And like when I sat down and listened to that album for the first time, I even sent out a tweet that said something like, it's ironic that like I abandoned Trans Am right before they made Sex Change, because it was the record that I had been waiting for them to make. Like, it was just like all the stuff that they did so well, doing it all together, like on the same album, like, and they're a mostly instrumental band, which like, I'm not a snob about it or anything, but like there's a part of me that's like, if a rock band can make a really great record that's all instrumental, like there's something to be said for that. Like, we're so, the genre as a whole can be so lyrically dependent that like, and so, that one, I've been enjoying that one too. It's funny though, cause like when I think about like, how I felt when I sort of, really discovered like Low by David Bowie or something like that. Like, I wish I could say that like, as you get older, like those moments don't start to become fewer, but like on some level they kind of do. Like, and I think I've been very, at least as much as I can manage, like I'm very diligent about continuing to go out and seek out music and, try and find stuff that I'm excited about. Really try and spend time with a record sometimes if I feel like, there's a great experience in here somewhere. I'm just not there yet. Like, and, there are a lot of people my age who, they're not obsessive enough, and they just, they just listen to the same, 20 records that they liked when they were 20, and so, I wish that wasn't so commonplace, but, and I've talked to people on social media and stuff like that who they come on and they express that sentiment, and they're like, how do I stop this? Or how does it, how do I counteract this? And I always comment and I say, like, you've got to do it really deliberately. Like, there's just not another way around it, and and so
I think like finding the people whose opinion you really trust, and that, like, them for sure, them going like, no, but really, this is really good, and it like that happens with like movies and TV shows and stuff, and like and it's like, no, I wouldn't normally branch out and listen to this, but it's like my brother kind of shaped my taste in music. My oldest brother. And
how many brothers do you have?
2 brothers.
Oh, okay.
And whenever he's like, no, you really got to listen to this. And then it's like, he keeps going on about it. I'm like, okay, like you haven't wronged me on that front yet. So like,
yeah, that's interesting. My brother's pretty music obsessive also, but he's not he never opted to become a trained musician really in any way. It's like he plays the guitar and he's written songs, and he had a little band he was in for a while, but he sort of ended up making a conscious decision a number of years ago that he was just going to focus on being like a theater actor in terms of his artistic personality. But and we have some sort of cross-pollination like that, but but I have like a super weird, like a super weird streak in my taste that he does not necessarily have. Like we both love the Beatles, and we both love random things. Like there was a British group called The Laws that put out one album, and like there's stuff like that we certainly have in common. But like I can't remember. I can't remember if it was when I first bought a Trout Mask replica by Captain Beefheart. Like I was totally into it. I was totally freaked out about it. I was like, this is so great. Like I was like, do you want to
I haven't listened to that yet. I know the
right
culture around it, but
and I was like, do you want to you should come in and listen to this with me. He's like, I don't think I'm ready for Captain Beefheart yet. And like I think maybe even all these years later, he's probably still not ready for Captain Beefheart. And and that's fine,
Yeah. Sometimes I'll play Death Grips for people just to see how they react.
Sure. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
That's like Frank Zappa when he was a teenager, he would play Varese for people. And he's like, if anybody who came over to my house, like I would play Varese for them, and depending on how they reacted, I might or might not invite them over again. Yeah totally.
Right. Well, I mean, if you try and be cool about it, I was like, yeah, I can see maybe
sure, right? Like it's like, oh yeah, man, that's far out. Yeah, whatever,
like, well, at least you're cool enough to like try to play along.
No, sure. Yeah. Like if you're, totally. Like, I think that if, Casey and I, we definitely have, disparate tastes as well sometimes, but there's a lot to be said for the fact that like, when we first got together, like she, some of the stuff that like she willingly sat through, and like without any sort of visible sign of protest or boredom or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, you gotta hand it to somebody.
Yeah.
That they're like, no.
Until the day comes that it's like, can we not listen to this
right.
for like
can we turn
time?
Off the Zappa for now? That's which and that's fine. Like I think then but I mean but I'm all like there's just gonna be and I think I also had to sort of make peace with the idea at some point that like I am willing to go further out sort of than a lot of people are willing to go. And like I've and I intentionally am collecting all the like really late period John Coltrane records where like, things were getting really, really strange. Like, and most like I was told multiple times in undergrad by at least one, possibly two or three teachers that I had like big ears and whatever, like, 'cause I was able to sort of, take in all that stuff that most people would just be like, see, but now he's just making noise. I'm like, no, you don't understand, and so,
but he's doing the entire circle of fifths in one progression.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and even, and then even beyond that, where, he started to get skronky and all that kind of stuff.
But, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to get out of that. So thank you for doing this with me.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Hopefully we won't have to wait too long for my record to actually come out. But
as of yet, what's it called?
Yeah, it's called Deliver Humankind is that's the plan. And that's what it's going to be called. And yeah, hopefully absolutely no later than June. That's my goal. Like it was going to be March. The only reason it would be as long as June is because there just is a lot happening in April and May already that, might prevent me from really focusing on like, hey, my record's coming out. I probably should try and draw some attention to that,
Yeah.
And so
you heard it here, folks. Stay tuned for September.
No. But God help me. It's gonna be June at the latest. And so, but yeah, I mean, and I'm just excited to be like, we are far enough along on it that like, no, by golly, it will get done and it will come out. Like, because that's, it's the closest I've been to that in, 7 years. So, or 6.5 years. So
yeah, sweet.
But yeah.
And other than the album, of course, where can we find you and your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, drpants.com, doctrpants.com. I actually redid my website towards the end of 2019, so it's a little bit fresher and cleaner. And that if you go there and you click on like music or store or whatever, it takes you to Bandcamp, which is where, if you actually want to buy things, that's the place online to do it. And then I'm on all the streaming services, all the social medias. And let's see, officially the next Oklahoma City show that's on the books, I have an acoustic show at Full Circle Books on April 25th.
Sweet.
So that's the next time there's a live event. There's a Stillwater show actually at the beginning of that week on like the 20th. I think yes. Yeah, it is the 20th because the Full Circle Saturday the 25th, and the Stillwater show is Mondays at Modella, so Monday I believe would be the 20th in that case. Yeah. So yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me back. And yeah, so
I'm Santiago Ramones.
And I'm David Broyles, Dr. Pants.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I make music. There's singer-songwriter stuff. There's composer stuff. There's electronic stuff. And yeah, all of the music stuff you will find on santiagoramones.com/music. Or if you want to listen to other episodes of the podcast, /podcast.
There you go.
Or if you want to specifically listen to like my master's recital, that's /machinations. So
nice.
That's
so well organized.
Yeah, I try my best to make things as easy as possible for everyone. And there's also Power Cycle stuff, which we had an album come out in. I'm like already in March brain mode, but this podcast is out in March.
Right.
So we had an album come out last month called Too Many Damn Cables. We're also, since the improvisatory nature of the thing, we have more content slated for the rest of the year. And so it's like hope for an EP or something in the second quarter.
Yes.
And then definitely a full album in like October or something.
Excellent.
So stay tuned for that. But if not, there's all of the stuff streaming in all the places, or you can find us on YouTube where you can find weird kaleidoscope stuff with the album playing in the background. So
all the Santiago and Dr. Pants stuff just that you could imagine is coming your way.
Yes. This is the year for it because we like numbers with zeros at the end. Even though base 10 system is arbitrary.
Right.
I always end the podcast with my 3 things. They shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong.